Let me ask you something. Every time a person swims in the open ocean, anywhere on Earth, in almost any water cold enough or warm enough to hold life, they are swimming inside the territory of the single most complete predator this planet has ever produced. It is faster than you. It is stronger than you. It hunts in coordinated groups. It can kill the largest animal that has ever lived. And it has no natural enemies of any kind. Nothing hunts it. Nothing frightens it. And it is almost certainly closer to you, more of the time, than you have ever imagined. And in all of recorded history, in the wild, it has never once killed a human being. Here is what I want you to understand before we go any further. That is not an accident. It is not luck. And it is not because we are too big or too bony or too strange to eat. An animal that can drown a blue whale would have no trouble at all with you. The reason it leaves us alone is something far stranger than fear. And by the end of this, I think it will unsettle you more than any set of teeth ever could. Because the thing that makes the orca the deadliest hunter in the ocean, and the thing that spares your life every time you enter the water, are the exact same thing, and it is not in its body at all. Stay with me. We are going to go a long way down. Let me start by taking something away from you, because almost everything you think you know about this animal begins with a mistake, and the mistake is right there in the name. The killer whale is not a whale. I know how that sounds. It is enormous. It has a blowhole. It moves through a lineup of whales and seems to belong there. But look closer, at the shape of its skull, at its cone-shaped teeth, at the single blowhole, at the round pad of fat in its forehead that it uses to throw sound through the water. And the truth becomes impossible to ignore. Those are the traits of a dolphin. The killer whale is not a whale. It is the largest dolphin in the world. From here on, let us call it what it is, an orca. And even the word killer is a kind of accident. It comes from old sailors, the men who spent their whole lives on the open water and who, from the decks of their ships, watched these black and white animals do something almost beyond belief. They watched them hunt whales, not fish, whales, and so they called them the killers of whales, whale killers. And somewhere across the centuries, in the retelling, the words simply flipped. Whale killer became killer whale, and the name stuck to the wrong end of the animal, and it never came off. I tell you this because it is the first clue to the whole story. From the very beginning, we named this creature for the one thing about it we understood the least. Now let me show you how much of the ocean it owns. Picture the whole planet, every sea on it, the frozen edges of the poles, the warm, bright water of the tropics, the deep, open ocean, and the shallow coast where the waves break. The orca lives in all of it, every ocean on Earth, from the ice to the equator and back again. There are only two other kinds of mammal that have spread themselves across a wider stretch of this world. And one of them is the brown rat, and the other one is us. That is the company this animal keeps. Wherever there is enough water and enough life, there is, somewhere nearby, an orca. You are never really out of its reach. You simply do not notice it is there. So what exactly are you sharing the water with? Start with the body, because the body is genuinely magnificent. Even though, and I want you to hold on to this, the body is the least interesting part of the whole animal. An orca is built like something designed in a laboratory to move through water and end lives. It is smooth and heavy and shaped like a torpedo, and when it is simply cruising, looking for food, It moves slowly and gently to save its strength, but it can change in an instant. That great tail drives it forward like the throttle of an engine, and it can throw itself up to something like 35 miles an hour through open water. In the sea, almost nothing alive can outrun that, and it does not tire the way you would expect. Its muscles are soaked in a special substance that grabs oxygen and stores it right there in the body, packed in at 10 to 20 times the concentration you carry in your own. It is why the orca can dive deep and swim hard and keep going and keep going, long after its prey has given everything it has. When an orca decides to chase you down, exhaustion is a weapon it simply does not feel the way you do. And then there is the bite. The great white shark has the famous jaws, the ones in all the films, but the orca bites down harder, several times harder, and its cone-shaped teeth interlock like a trap closing, made to grip and to tear and to not let go. Once those jaws close on something, the argument is over. So there it is, fast, tireless, armored in muscle, armed with the strongest bite in the sea, and afraid of nothing. On paper, it is the perfect killing machine. And if that were the whole story, this would be a short video. But it is not the whole story. It is barely the beginning. Because the truly frightening thing about the orca is not what its body can do. It is what its mind can do. Let me show you how these animals actually hunt. The first thing you would notice, if you ever watch them work, is that they almost never hunt alone. Like wolves, like lions, they hunt as a group, a family, moving together with a coordination that looks less like instinct and more like a plan. They surround, they cut off escape, they attack from angles, and they clearly understand something that most predators never grasp, that the smartest way to win a fight is not always with force. Off the coast of Norway, in the cold, when the herring gather in their millions, orcas do something that has a name. It is called carousel feeding, and it is a thing of terrible beauty. The family works the enormous school of fish the way a sheepdog works a flock. Some dive below and flash their pale undersides upward, and the sudden light panics the fish. Others blow curtains of bubbles around the edges, building walls out of nothing but air, and slowly, patiently, they herd millions of fish into a single tight spinning ball, and drive that ball up toward the surface, where it cannot escape. And then, one at a time, an experienced orca swings its tail out of the water and brings it down like a hammer, and the shock of it stuns or kills a dozen fish at once. And the others move in to feed, taking turns, in order, with a patience that should not belong to a predator. That is not brute force, that is engineering. Go to the other end of the world, to the ice around Antarctica, and you will find a different family doing something even more astonishing. A seal is resting on a floating raft of ice, thinking itself safe. The orcas see it, and instead of simply lunging, they line up together, side by side, and they charge the ice, and at the last second they dive and roll in perfect unison, and the wave they push ahead of themselves washes right over the top of the floe and sweeps the seal into the water. They make a wave, on purpose, as a team, to knock a meal off a shelf of ice. And here is the detail that stays with me. They are picky about it. They will wash a seal off the ice, get a proper look at it, decide it is the wrong kind of seal, and let it go. They went to all that trouble, and then declined the meal because it was not what they were looking for. Hold on to that. We will come back to it, and it matters more than anything else in this whole story. And when the moment calls for it, orcas will take on the largest animals that have ever existed. Off the coast of Australia, they have been seen hunting the blue whale itself, the biggest creature in the history of life. They cannot overpower it, so they do not try. They drown it. Some hold its head, some cover its blowhole, some drag at its fins and tail, and they simply do not let it breathe, patiently, for as long as it takes, until the largest heart that has ever beaten finally stops. They understand, in some way we can barely name, what breathing is, and what taking it away will do. And off the southern tip of Africa, a pair of orcas has learned something even more surgical. They hunt great white sharks, the most feared fish in the sea, and they have worked out how to flip a shark onto its back, which locks it into a strange, helpless trance. And then they open it with the precision of a surgeon and take one single thing, the liver, rich, oily, enormous, the most nourishing part of the whole animal. They eat the liver, and they leave the rest to sink. And they have become so good at it and so terrifying that in the bays where these two appear, the great whites simply vanish, abandoning hunting grounds they have ruled for millions of years. Sit with that for a second. The most famous predator on Earth flees the room the moment these two walk in. But of everything these animals do, one hunt says the most about what they truly are. On a few remote beaches, most famously along the coast of Argentina, orcas have learned to do something that looks, at first, like a kind of suicide. When the young sea lions play in the shallows, an orca will pick its moment, drive itself deliberately up out of the water and onto the sand, snatch a pup in its jaws, and then twist and heave its whole enormous body back into the retreating waves before the sea can strand it there for good. A creature built entirely for water, hurling itself onto dry land on purpose and trusting that it can get back. It is one of the most dangerous things any orca ever does. And here is the part that matters. They are not born knowing how. The mothers teach it, deliberately. They bring their young to that beach over and over for years and drill them and correct their timing and practice the whole terrifying maneuver with them, the way a parent teaches a child to cross a road. Are you still with me? Because now we arrive at the real secret, and once you see it, you will never look at this animal the same way again. None of what I have just described is instinct. Not really. The orca is not born knowing how to make a wave, or herd a school of herring, or drown a whale. It learns it. Every bit of it. It learns it from its family. The way you learned your language and your recipes and the way your people do things. And different orca families in different parts of the ocean have learned completely different ways of being an orca. Scientists call these groups ecotypes, and the differences between them are almost impossible to believe. In the same stretch of water off the Pacific Northwest, two kinds of orca live side by side and behave like different species entirely. One kind eats fish, only fish. In fact, one population eats almost nothing but a single type of salmon, the biggest and richest one. And here is the part that should stop you cold. If you surround these orcas with other kinds of perfectly good salmon, they will ignore them. They will swim through a feast and stay hungry, and wait for the one kind their family eats, because to them, the other fish are simply not food, not distasteful, not second best, just not food. It is not in their culture. And the strangest part is how they can even tell one fish from another. These orcas hunt by sound. They fire rapid clicks into the water and read the echoes that return, building a picture of the darkness out of nothing but bounced noise. Most fish carry a small pocket of gas inside them to keep from sinking, and that little pocket rings differently from one kind of fish to the next, so that to an orca listening in the black, one species of salmon literally sounds different from another. They are not guessing. They can hear the difference between one fish and its cousin from far beyond the reach of their eyes, and still, hearing a perfectly good meal ring out clearly in the dark, they let it swim past, because it is the wrong one. Their fussiness is not ignorance, it is a choice, made with a sense we do not even have. The other kind of orca, in the very same water, will not touch a fish at all. They hunt mammals, seals, sea lions, dolphins, whales. They hunt in silence because their prey can hear them coming, and they have learned patience and stealth that the fish eaters never needed. Two populations, sharing one coastline, that do not eat the same food, do not hunt the same way, and do not, as far as we can tell, even speak to one another. Because yes, they have language, or something close enough that the difference stops mattering. Every orca family has its own set of calls, a dialect, passed down through the generations along the female line, from mother to child to grandchild. The calls are not random noise, they are specific and shared and learned. And a family will use the same signature sounds that their ancestors used decades before they were born. Families that are related can understand one another, the way an Australian and a Canadian can both speak English. But families from different clans share no calls at all, and cannot understand each other, as foreign to one another as two people with no language in common. There are orcas in the same ocean of the same species who quite literally cannot speak to each other because their grandmothers spoke differently. And that word, grandmother, is where this entire story finally comes together, because orca society is built around its old females. It is one of only a tiny handful of species anywhere on Earth, and we are one of the others, where the females stop having children partway through their lives, and then keep on living for decades. A female orca may stop reproducing in her 40s and live into her 80s or beyond. And in nearly every other animal, that would make no sense at all. Once you can no longer breed, evolution is usually finished with you. So why would nature keep these old females alive for another 40 years? Here is the answer. And it is beautiful, because they remember. The grandmother is the library of the family. In her long life, she has learned where the food goes in a bad year, which routes are safe, which beaches can be hunted and which cannot, what to do when the salmon fail and the whole family is starving. She carries decades of hard-won knowledge in her head, and when times get difficult, the whole family turns to her and follows her and survives because of what she knows. We can measure this. Families led by an old female come through hard times far better than those without one. When a grandmother dies, the young of that family die more often in the years that follow. She is not a passenger, she is the map, and it goes deeper still. Male orcas, these enormous powerful hunters, often never truly leave their mothers. She feeds them, she protects them, she shares her catch with her grown sons for their entire lives. And when she dies, their own chance of dying rises many times over. The most fearsome predators in the sea are, in a real sense, held together their whole lives by their mothers. The teeth belong to the sons, but the knowledge, the memory, the map of how to stay alive, that belongs to the old females. And that is the true weapon of this species, not the bite, the grandmother. And when a family is not busy surviving, something else appears. Something you would never expect from a killing machine. They play, they tease each other, they toss seaweed back and forth for no reason anyone can find. In the cold water off Washington, a female orca was once seen swimming with a dead salmon balanced on top of her head, like a hat. And within days, her whole family was doing it too. A fashion with no purpose at all, except apparently that it was fun. And then it faded, and vanished for nearly 40 years. Until in 2024, a single male was photographed doing the very same thing. And no one is entirely sure why. And I love that we do not know, because doing something for no reason other than your own amusement is one of the most sophisticated things a mind can do. You may have heard too about the orcas off the coast of Spain and Portugal that have been ramming sailboats, snapping rudders, even sinking a handful of them. It became a story about revenge, about angry whales fighting back. But the scientists who study them do not believe that. It is mostly young orcas, teenagers, and it looks for all the world like a game, a fad spreading through bored adolescents with too much time and too much energy in a population that had a good year for tuna. And notice, in every one of those encounters, they went after the boat, the rudder, the equipment, not the people on board, even at their most destructive, even treating a yacht like a toy. They left the humans alone. They care for each other in ways that are hard to watch without feeling something. There are orca families that have carried a disabled member, one born unable to hunt or navigate on its own. And instead of leaving it behind, the way almost any other predator would, the family slowed down and shared its food and kept it alive. They form friendships that last for years. Specific individuals who seek each other out again and again. And when two related families that have been apart finally meet, they hold what can only be called a greeting ceremony, lining up and facing each other, going still and silent for a long moment, and then erupting together into a chaos of contact and sound. Like a family reunion, like people who have missed each other. And if you are wondering whether we are simply imagining all this, projecting ourselves onto an animal that feels nothing, the brain itself argues back. The orca brain is one of the most intricately folded on the planet, even more so than our own. And folding is the signature of complex thought. It carries special cells in the regions tied to empathy and self-awareness, the same rare cells found in humans and great apes and elephants. And when an orca is placed in front of a mirror, it does not treat the reflection as a stranger. It recognizes itself. It is one of the very few kinds of animal on Earth that we believe understands, on some level, that it exists at all. There is one more thing, and it may be the strangest of all. These separate cultures, these families that eat different food and speak different dialects and will not mix, they have kept to their own kind and their own ways for so long, thousands of years, that their bodies have begun to follow their traditions. The groups that are the most culturally different are turning out to be the most genetically different too, drifting slowly apart in their very DNA. Until some scientists now argue they should no longer be counted as a single species at all. Sit with what that means. For almost every animal that has ever lived, the body changes first, and the behavior follows. The orca may be doing it backward. It is choosing how to live, generation after generation. And its biology is being dragged along behind those choices. It may be one of the only creatures on Earth whose culture is slowly turning into its flesh. So let me bring you back now to where we started. Back to you, in the water. We tend to imagine two different orcas, the cold, tactical killer that drowns whales and washes seals off the ice, and the warm, social creature that plays and grieves and knows its own reflection. But there are not two orcas. There is only one. It is the same mind that does all of it. The same ability to learn and to teach that lets a family drown a blue whale is the ability that lets them invent a game with a fish on their heads. The same memory that holds the map of the hunting grounds is the memory that holds a friendship for 20 years. Their genius as hunters and their tenderness as families are not two separate things. They are one thing, seen from two sides. And that one thing, that capacity to learn what your family does and to carry it for life, is the answer to the question I asked you at the very beginning. Why has this animal, this flawless predator that lives in every ocean you have ever swum in, never once in the wild taken a human life? It is not because it cannot. It could, without effort, any day it chose to. It is because no orca has ever been taught that we are food. The salmon eaters eat salmon because their mothers ate salmon. The seal hunters hunt seals because their mothers hunted seals. And in all the long generations of orca families, in all their cultures and dialects and traditions, passed down the female line since before we built our first boat. Not one grandmother ever taught her children that the strange two-legged things at the surface were something to eat. So to them, we are not prey. We are not a meal they are declining. We are simply not on the menu their family handed down. The same way those Antarctic orcas will wash the wrong seal off the ice and let it go. We are, to the most dangerous animal in the sea, quietly, permanently, the wrong thing. Let that sit for a moment. Your safety in the ocean does not rest on the orca's mercy, or its fear, or any law of nature. It rests on a tradition, on something learned and remembered and passed down, in a mind that decides for itself what counts as food. We survive because of their culture, and a culture is a thing that can change. The orca was never the mindless monster the sailors named. It is something far rarer and far more humbling than that. It is a second kind of mind, sharing our oceans, raising its children, teaching its history, keeping its elders, choosing what it will and will not do. It looked at us, somewhere across all those centuries, and it decided we were not for eating. And then it taught its children the same. And that decision, made in a mind we are only just beginning to understand, is the thin and invisible thing that has kept every swimmer safe, in every sea. For as long as there have been swimmers, the surface is not the whole story. It never was. If this changed the way you see them, even a little, then you already understand what we do here. Every week, we go somewhere the surface does not show you. That is Abyss Files. Subscribe, and come with us the next time we go down.